Hi, my name is Jesse Walter. This is another UDK tutorial. Today we're going to cover whiteboxing. What is whiteboxing? Whiteboxing is the blocking out of your level. So why do we do this? We do this so that we can kind of gauge the initial design or concept given to us by the level designer or game designer. In this case, we started with this Photoshop file that I just kind of painted together real quick. I've been wanting to do a capture the flag scenario with a broken bridge. This is kind of a symmetrical capture the flag scenario or level design. But we're going to try to make this somewhat interesting. Before you put together any level, you should definitely consider drafting up some mock-up designs on paper or digitally through Photoshop to get an idea of really what you're going for. And that some of those ideas may get enhanced as you're going through the building process with UDK. More than one drawing is probably going to be needed. And here we just kind of have a basic concept, just a visualization, but I went ahead and put together kind of more of a map-like diagram. What I want is players to start on each side and have somewhat equal opportunity to succeed in capturing the flag, but not make it easy either. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm showing staircases on each side of this cliff here. And this is, of course, the broken bridge. This is a side view, kind of a cross section. But what I'm really going to do, I think what I'll have is some stairs on one side, maybe even on both sides. And I might have some more area down here for a platform for the players to combat. They're going to have to get through this water. So we're going to learn about putting a water volume or liquid volume into our level as well. We're just going to block it out with BSPs first. We may or may not add some static meshes after we block it out. Now you can build a level in UDK with strictly BSPs. Eventually you want to change them to some static meshes, some modeling. But for the essence of time, we're just going to do a quick level. And I've already kind of built the terrain. And let's take another look. So here's another view where, like I said, I might have alternating staircases, or I may just put staircases on each side. I'm going to do something a little different by adding some little islands out here for the player to have access to. If we go back to this other cross section here, the player is going to have opportunity to try to take control of this center area as well. And there are going to be multiple levels of portholes from which they can fire upon. And from a design perspective, we're looking at this as coverage. They'll be able to see down from this angle and down from that angle, but they'll be covered up top, and they may not be able to really get a good visualization of what's happening, what kind of combat's happening up top. We're going to put some vehicles in the way, like we showed right here, some obstacles to kind of make the scene a little more interesting. Like I said, also some platform areas as they come down the stairs. They'll be able to kind of fight across through here as well. So with that, we'll switch over to UDK. So here's my UDK level. And like I said, I've already done the terrain. And while, I'm moving around here. While designing this terrain, now granted there's no materials assigned to it, but we do have a light mass volume, and to kind of give us some idea of how deep things are going to be. And as we can see, there's a couple islands here. Now this island here, we're going to put the center part of that bridge on, and that bridge is going to connect up here. And so we're going to have a tunnel here and a tunnel over here. Now, when I designed this terrain, I made sure I had plenty of mountains off in the background. You could, even if you wanted to, you could put a plane back there to save on geometry. And As we can see back here, I did the same back here, but I also tried to keep it a little bit unique and different. I didn't want both sides to look exactly the same, although I'm giving both sides pretty equal opportunity as far as the layout. I'm changing up the look a little bit here, and I'm also giving some natural obstacles to kind of shield and protect them and not give one particular side more advantage over the other. Another thing when considering your design, um, because the terrain is basically a square that we're just tessellating, we don't want the player to see the edge or the end of the world. What I mean is this edge right here. That's going to look really obvious and odd. So what I've done is taken my river and I've kind of skewed it past and around the mountain. So, and I've done that on each side. We can see that over here as well. So that when the player's down at this level, they're visually they're going to be blocked by the natural terrain that we've put together here. So it's going to feel natural and not feel so like that they can see the end of the world. So first things first, we're going to start putting some geometry in here. I'm going to move my brush over here. We're going to build that tower, that center tower there. Change that to a cylinder. And I don't know if I want to add more to that cylinder. I know that I'm going to have to change the size a little bit. Scale that down. So I clicked up here on the scaling mode, pulled the handle to adjust the size. Now, to put this additive geometry in, I want this to be tall. But if I scale it, it scales everything. So how do you do that? Click on this non-uniform scaling mode. And so now, as you see, the handles change and they have different colors now. If we grab this top handle and pull it up, we're able to stretch it just like we want. I'm kind of eyeballing this. I'm going to switch to multiple panes or multiple viewports and kind of get an idea here. I'm going to zoom in on this side view. If you hit the spacebar, you can switch and toggle between the different widgets here. Go back to this view. It's going to be a little tall, but it'll give me some room to play with once I put it in there. So now I'm going to do the additive. I'm going to create that BSP. Bam, and there it is. Now I'm going to leave that brush right there. I'm going to rescale it. I'm going to switch it to the uniformed scaling mode because I'm going to hollow that center out. So I'm going to change that size. I'm going to go to the top view, I think. That's the side view. There's the top view. So I'm going to zoom on down into this top view. I want to see the thickness of my walls. And that's probably looking okay. Now, from the side view perspective, that's probably going to be okay also. So now we're going to click on this subtract. That's going to hollow that center out for us. So I'm thinking I need to scale this down because I want to have a base. If we go back to looking at our diagrams here, we've got this base down here. We're going to have this top up here, and the middle shaft is basically going to be the elevator. So we're going to rescale this. So what I've done is I've gone switch views to the top view, and I've clicked on my brush or my BSPs, and then I'm clicking on the other BSP, which the subtractive, and then I'm going to scale them down together. Using the uniform scale. Maybe right there, let's take a look back at, yeah, that'll probably work. And we're going to rebuild geometry. And now we can see that it's readjusted that for us. I'm going to go inside, take a look. I think that's plenty of space for an elevator. I'm going to take our other brush, and actually, yeah, I'm going to take this other brush, and I'm going to move this back up. Go back to side view. And right about there, I think. And add. There we go. Looking good, looking good. Pull this up. I'm going to add another layer here. Change the size. And let's add that as well. You know, I might be able to change this shaft as well. Let's change that, shrink it down a little bit. And I'm clicking and then I'm holding Control as I click to grab that other brush. Hit the space bar, scale it back down. Alright, now I'm going to go to the side view over here. And I'm going to hit space again so I can grab this transform. We're going to move this up. Right. Yeah, right there. You know, actually, I think I'm going to pull this up, then I'm going to take. Yeah. No, we'll leave it. We'll just see how this works out. Alright, we've moved some things around, so I'm going to rebuild my brushes. There we go. And now we need to add some doors. So I'm just going to do a basic square here. And let's take a look at our diagrams. I think that's a good idea. Make sure we're going the right way here. Yep, that looks right. Shrink this down. I'm probably going to have to put another subtractive in here at the bottom. So I'm going to start with this subtractive. Move this down over here. Make this a subtractive. put this back in the center. Change that back to this. Shrink this down. Side view. And I'm going to adjust this like so. Another subtractive. And I'm going to pull that up to here. And subtractive. Yep. And for now we're going to drop that down below the terrain. I don't know if I like that door the way it is. I'm going to build it. Close. Alright. Yeah. So already I'm seeing that this door looks really bad. Probably need to pull this BSP out and up. So let's say you want to grab a hold of all your BSPs and move them. What you can do is hold Control and Alt from one of your side views, and then drag by left clicking on the mouse and selecting all. Hit spacebar, get your move transform, and move it up. And let's build that geometry. See where that puts us. Okay, we're a little too high now. Alright, I may still make some adjustments. So I'm going to pause the video from here and continue building my BSPs, but you get the general idea of how to build your BSPs. So we've almost got our level done here as far as the whiteboxing is concerned. There are a couple more details I want to add. I want to add a couple tunnels, a tunnel going through here and a tunnel going through that mountainside over there. But as you can see, most of my BSP block out is done, and I've built the lighting and all the geometry. We're going to have to come back through here and add some additional lights, and that will be in another tutorial. First, we're just going to finish this block out. So what I want to do now is cover customizing your BSP brush. So first things first, I want to get the shape that I want, which would be a cylinder, and make sure down here it's set to 90 degrees so I can flip it. I'm going to hit the rotation, flip it 90 degrees, right there. I'm going to increase the size of it. It's pretty big. Let's take a look from wireframe mode from the side. It's a pretty heavy duty cave there. Let's shrink it down a little bit. How about right there? So to edit the brush, we're going to go into the brush editing mode, which is right here, or geometry mode. Click that. We're in edit. And now I'm going to grab these points by holding Control and Alt, left clicking, dragging over, and then I'm going to delete. And do the same on this side. Delete. And now I have something I want to work with. And sometimes your transform gizmo thing here is going to look a little wonky. It could look wonky if you're in world, or excuse me, local mode. You want to switch that to world mode. Yeah, I just want to drag. Looks like I missed something, didn't I? Grab that, grab that. Oh wow, I'm really distorting that bad, aren't I? Let's try to get that back into place. And you can tell if it's straight if you just kind of eyeball it and look at that line, make sure that line goes straight across. And that one, yep. So I'm going to pull that up to about here. Pull this one up as well, bring that straight. And there we go. Click apply. Close out of the edit mode. And then what I want to do is there we go. So I'm kind of eyeballing where this is sitting in at. I'm going to hit the geometry. There we go. Then I'm going to use this same brush that we just made. Go back to side view. I'm going to scale it. Make that level. And let's take a look at the side view. Other side. Lots of room to play with. Alright, add that geometry. And I'm going to do that one more time. And then I also need to make that tunnel. So when you're doing the additive and subtractive CSGs, whatever the last mode was, as in additive or subtractive, is what's going to be in control, basically, or is what's going to happen. So if I were to put a subtractive brush through here and hollow something out, and then I put an additive, what's going to show the additive, and that subtractive is going to be affected by that additive. But if I do the subtractive last, then that subtractive is what's going to show up. So let's rescale this. Grab the brush, shrink it down to about right there, And then I'm going to hit this non-uniform because I want this to go through the whole thing here. Now we're going to have, I can tell you right away, we're going to have some issues with the road. It's going to cut through that road. I'll show you, and we'll see if we can adjust that. So I'm going to do subtractive, bam. So what I'm going to do is hide the terrain. So I've clicked on the terrain, and then I'm going to click this hide selected. Okay, and sure enough, as you can see down here, our road was affected. Even if I try to build it, it's still not there. So what do? So what we're going to do is we're going to grab, oops, cancel. Oops, I'm on the wrong side. I'm going to grab this road here. And like I was saying earlier, I'm going to change the mode on this road. So I'm selecting the road, and if I change, right click, and then change the order to being last, and hit build, there's our road. So we need to do that for all of our pieces here. Order last and build. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so I reordered all my BSP brushes, or excuse me, BSPs, to be last on the road so that they're not being affected by the intersecting subtractive volume. So I've got my tunnel done on this one side and got it actually going through the terrain. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. I'm going to show you with this guy over here. So we're going to go into our terrain mode, terrain editing. Okay, here we go. And I want to turn on the wireframe, and then I'm going to adjust my radius. So I want to be very specific on what I'm grabbing. So I'm taking that fall off. And then I'm going to select the visibility, and we're going to cut that geometry. I'm just going to move this off to the side. Just know that we're in edit mode on the terrain. So I'm going to hold down Control and click the left mouse button, and as you can see, we're able to chop through our terrain. And we're going to have to do some massaging to this terrain afterwards. Okay, so I've cut too much off here, and I've cut a lot off at the top. So to get that back, just press Control and right click. So to cut is left click. To paste back in is the right click. There we this back in. Gotta find out where it wants it. Change the radius a little bit. There we go. And change that radius again. It does not like that, does it? Alright. That's right, we'll work with this. We'll make it work. We'll just resize our tunnel. I'm going to leave the, no, that's before I leave the terrain edit mode. Let's see what we can do with this guy here. I'm switching the brush to paint mode with the terrain to this guy here and give a little bit of a fall off. Yeah, and I'm just going to push this down, and we'll smooth that out as well. Switching back to smooth. Check that out. Looks good. You know, we could probably do something like that up here. Let's add this back in, see what we can do here. Doesn't seem to be taken. How about now? Alright, see what we got in here. Alright, we might be able to push this up. Yep. So what I'm doing is, because it may be kind of awkward from this angle and missing some pieces of geometry there, so I am basically raising that geometry with the brush. Just enough to get it out of the way. Let's see how it looks up top. Groovy. And just checking all the edges here. Last thing you want is for a player to walk through your geometry. I think that might work. I got a little bit right there. Push that down. That felt like a lot. Let's see. No? I think, oops, I think that'll work. Alright, close out of that. And now we need to talk about this tunnel here. How do we get that tunnel like this? Because you don't want to walk through here and then see all this. We're going to close that tunnel off, but at least give the player some of that tunnel to play around in. So to do that, first thing I'm going to do is hide this terrain. Okay, and let's make sure we get the right tunnel. This is the right tunnel. So I'm going to grab this guy and adjust his non-uniform size. And I'm also going to grab that one there. Just expand that out. Move it back. I'm going to shrink this one back down. Now I'm going to adjust it from the side view. Oh, I did not want to do that. I grabbed the wrong scale. That's what I wanted. Alright. I think we're okay. So let's rebuild the geometry, see how that looks. Voila. And here's our tunnel. And it looks like it's approximately the same size. I think we're good. So let's turn the geometry back on. And next thing we're going to do is add stairs. So I've got some stairs made on both sides. And I am about ready to start texturing the terrain. So I will see you in the next video.